Every single time somebody makes it in life, we see the exact same thing happen. Somebody goes from being relatively unknown to suddenly becoming successful, famous, or influential, whatever you want to call it, and then people start calling out of nowhere. All of a sudden, everybody knows them. I knew them before they blew up. That's not who they really are. We used to be so close. They changed. I know the real version of them. Like, why? Seriously, why? Because if you generally had a relationship with that person, why are you talking to their audience instead of talking to them? It's always so strange to me how people suddenly feel the need to insert themselves into somebody else's success story as if the spotlight somehow belongs to them too. You didn't build it or contribute to it. You weren't even there putting in the work. Yet you think the audience would care that you once had a connection with them? Crazy. Unfortunately, this behavior has become more and more normalized. And we call them clout chasers. A clout chaser is someone who attaches themselves to another person's attention, status, or success because they want to benefit from it themselves. And they become very creative with their tactics. Sometimes it's through name dropping, or they act like an insider. Sometimes it's by suddenly exposing stories nobody asked for, or they're pretending they're still close. And sometimes they completely reinvent history because they know one thing. If people keep asking them about you, they'll never have to be interesting on their own. Obviously, not everybody who has ever known a successful person is automatically a clout chaser. Former and current colleagues, partners, and friends exist. And some people generally have stories to tell without exploiting you. But I'm talking about the people whose entire relevance suddenly depends on somebody else's success. Because isn't it funny how these people almost never show up before you've made it? Usually they arrive after you've climbed the social ladder and made it. And by then they often don't even have access to you anymore because you maybe haven't spoken in years or barely even knew each other. But somehow, they've become the spokesperson for the real you. Interesting. I don't think there's a bigger example of this than Michael Jackson. The bigger he became, the more people suddenly claimed to know the Michael Jackson. Former acquaintances, people claiming they worked closely with him but weren't credited, some claiming they're insiders, people suddenly telling stories years later, etc., etc. His name basically became a currency. And once your name becomes so valuable, people start spending it as if it belongs to them. I think that's one of the darkest parts of success. Not fame, but success in general. Because imagine constantly wondering whether people genuinely care about you or whether they're only interested in what your name can do for them. That's the entire reason clout chasers exist in the first place. They know that building your own reputation takes effort, time, energy, and discipline, but they're too lazy to put in the work, so they prefer taking the short route. I mean, borrowing somebody else's reputation is much easier, so of course they're gonna take that one. I also believe that sometimes envy can play a role. Some people simply cannot stand watching someone else become the main character, so they force themselves into the storyline, acting like your biggest supporter, or they go out of their way to claim they are your biggest victim. The narrative changes depending on what gets them the most attention, but the common denominator never changes. The attention somehow always circles back to them. But you know what? People massively underestimate how dangerous clout chasers actually are, because they don't do harmless gossip. Sometimes they'll exaggerate stories or completely invent them. Positive or negative, it honestly doesn't matter. As long as people keep talking and engage with them. As long as their name stays attached to yours, they've already won. And that's dangerous. Well, in some cases not dangerous, but just annoying. Still, it's bad because public perception and your reputation unfortunately matter. And in this superficial world that we live in, where some people easily believe everything they consume without questioning things, one person repeating something often enough can create conversations that shouldn't even exist in the first place. They drag you into situations you never asked to be part of, creating unnecessary drama. They make people question your character over stories that may not even be true. And what's weird is that sometimes accuracy isn't even the goal. Only visibility is. I'm coming back to Michael Jackson here. Throughout his career, there were people from different parts of his life who publicly spoke about him, made allegations against him, or presented themselves as insiders. Even within his own family. His sister LaToya Jackson publicly made extremely serious allegations against him in the early 1990s, and later admitted she had made those statements under pressure from her then husband. Whether it was relatives, former associates, or people from the entertainment industry, it shows how quickly someone else's fame can become everybody else's opportunity. But my question is, at what cost do they do all of this? It costed this man's peace, mental health, and borderline sanity. And let's not even start with his reputation. No amount of success is worth constantly questioning the intentions of the people around you. And as seen with Michael, it doesn't even stop at gossip. Sometimes it escalates into allegations that can completely destroy somebody's life. Neymar, a well-known Brazilian football player, was accused of rape a few years ago. He denied the allegation, and during the investigation, visual evidence became part of the case. The case was eventually closed due to insufficient evidence. And I'm mentioning this case not because every allegation is false, because real victims need to be taken seriously, always. But unfortunately, false allegations do exist. And when they happen, they don't just affect the accused person, they also make it harder for genuine victims to be believed because people start questioning everyone. That's why situations like these should never become entertainment. They're far too serious, but as you can see, some clout chasers don't care about limits. Important to mention is that not every public accusation is motivated by clout. However, once your reputation becomes valuable, there will always be some people who see an opportunity in it. Some will support you, others will try to profit from tearing you down. But this doesn't only happen to global superstars. The exact same dynamic happens on a much smaller scale. This is a little bit more niche, but Kenny and JaNa from the reality TV show Love Island USA are great examples of much lesser known people. After their relationship ended because it was revealed that Kenneth wasn't genuine about the relationship with JaNa, the internet became a battlefield. Private text messages surfaced in which Kenneth made broad racial generalizations and remarks to a friend after the couple split, followed by more public accusations, counter-accusations, and competing narratives. Then the conversation shifted again when he recently publicly accused JaNa of being violent towards him during the relationship. JaNa denied these allegations. Whether people believe one side or the other isn't even my point. My point is how quickly the conversation stopped being about the relationship itself and became about controlling the narrative. Everybody wanted to define the truth and win the court of public opinion. Because he understood that the intention is valuable, he wanted to own the story. That's why it's so strange when people say, just explain yourself and give a statement. Explain yourself to who? People whose entire business model depends on getting a reaction out of you? But isn't that the goal? Because now you've validated them and made them relevant. So congrats, technically, they're officially part of your story now. No, thank you. The sad thing is that these dynamics are almost never mutually beneficial. They love calling it networking, flirting, or joking, or whatever. In reality, it's just exploitation. One person benefits, the other person becomes the resource. So yeah, success does attract opportunities, but unfortunately, it also attracts free riders. People who will go completely out of their way to attach themselves to your name and say the most diabolical things just to get 5 minutes of visibility. People who will happily drag you into weird situations because your attention is worth more to them than their own integrity. It's sick. Imagine becoming so obsessed with somebody else's success that you build your own identity around your past connection with them, assuming that connection even existed. That's so pathetic. I also think silence is one of the most underrated responses to conquer these clout chasers. That can be great advice to protect yourself, your peace, and your mental health, because not everybody deserves your attention, since your attention is valuable. And attention is exactly what clout chasers are looking for. If things ever cross the line into serious false allegation or actual harm to your reputation, that's a completely different scenario. At that point, consequences belong in the appropriate place and not on social media. Because contrary to popular belief, not every battle needs an audience. And how do the Stoics say so beautifully? Sometimes the loudest response is no response at all. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the subscribe button and like this video. Peace.